right, welcome to the Township of Sparta Environmental Commission meeting for Thursday, January 23rd, 2025. The meeting is called to order at 7:04. We are live in the council chambers at the municipal building and also live streaming at www.youtube.com/@SpartaTWP/streams. Adequate notice of this meeting was provided to the public and the press on January 21st by delivering to the press and posting on the township website a copy of this notice. Emily, will you please do roll call?
Yes, thank you. Deputy Mayor Marjorie Murphy,
Here.
Chairwoman Kimberly Knoll,
Here.
Vice Chair Neil Sauerwine,
Here.
Christine Dunbar, Ted Gall,
Here.
Christine Rogers,
Here.
Linda Tower,
Here.
Barbara Kazalka,
Here.
Landon Tanieri,
Here.
Robert Otto,
Here.
John Groff. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Please join me in the salute to the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, next item is approval of the minutes. These are the January 9th minutes, so the first meeting of this year. Even though Christine Dunbar is not here, I'm going to read in changes that she requested to make sure we're all in agreement. Item number 1 that she had was Sally Larson agreed with Christy Whitehouse line. It should be EC as in cat, not EV as in Victor. And the second item, she is suggesting a change to the road salt paragraph. Christine Dunbar suggests reducing salt usage by replacing trucks. This is an investment with updated computer technology that controls the type of salt appropriate for the freezing depression point of the salt, used. New trucks also prevent piles of salt from accumulating on sloped roadways. Sand can be used in environmentally sensitive areas, but it can cause sediment pollution. If ice is too much, sand can be added to the mixture for traction during icing and freezing. Organic solutions like beet solutions can also be used, but they can also wash off into creeks and cause algae problems. While organic solutions are beneficial, they may not add to the contamination of aquifers as salt percolates down into the groundwater. Overall, both pros and cons should be considered when implementing salt management strategies. So those are 2 changes that we have. Or were there any other changes?
I just had one on page 2. The 5th line from the bottom where I had a comment, that second part of the sentence, it should read that instead of then, that everyone has a great perspective. That's my only.
Next time, Emily, can we have copies of the minutes? Sure. With the paper copies? So you don't have a copy in your packet today, I don't know if we want to table to next time if anybody didn't get a chance to read them. Or if I have a motion to accept them now with those changes that were mentioned.
I didn't really get a chance to read them. Sorry.
Okay, so should we table for next time? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you. All right, correspondence. So there was an application that we reviewed, I think it was in November originally. It's the MPS Holdings. They want to build a warehouse out in our, not the environmental zone, the business zone out by White Lake. And we had originally asked for an environmental impact statement. And so this is the correspondence that you have in your packet. Also included is the memo that we originally sent to them. Not sure if there were any additional comments or questions that we wanted to reply back based on the environmental impact statement.
I had a comment. I don't know if this warrants going back to them with this comment, but I took a little bit of an issue with their assertion that there are no impacts of building on a site, essentially an early successional site. I mean, of course, there's pollinators, there's all sorts of like foundational, insects and invertebrates and snakes and whatever that might be using that space and nesting birds to the point where they're cutting down actual forests to build these habitats. So to just sort of dismiss it out of hand as no impact, they did it a couple times in the statement. I thought that was not correct.
Any other comments, questions, or do we feel like we should go back to them with that comment? Everybody's still reading. I'll give you more time.
In the vegetation and wildlife section on page 6.
Mandatory is necessary.
Yeah.
I agree. They do it.
Like that's
Mhm.
And I mean, even if we're nitpicky, the aesthetics, I mean, it's right next to White Lake Park, and of course, open space and rural character are very important to our community. And they just say, oh no, there's no sites of scenic or aesthetic significance.
We haven't seen any pictures, right? And no there's no drawings of the architect or any.
Well, they were at the planning board this last time. It's right in the middle of, it's a plot of land right in the middle of two other warehouses, right in the middle of the entire warehouse section. So,
I mean, it is in an industrial park, so it's hard.
Yeah, it's
Like,
an
I
industrial park.
understand that it's, and
Yeah.
they're gonna build on it, but to just dismiss it out of hand, I thought it was at least worth.
and I think our comments still stand, like, thank you for putting in a rain basin, but it really should not have just rocks in the bottom. Like, let's put some native species in there to further,
It's more of a detention basin, right?
yeah, it's a retention basin, right?
Yeah.
The light pollution, even though they are in an industrial zone, the light pollution can impact other animals, bugs, migrating birds. And we also asked them to change some of the non-native plantings that they were proposing. We asked them to change to native plantings. So. I don't know, I think our memo still stands. I don't know if we'd want to add any more to that.
So but the environmental impact statement, I mean, do we have any that you can reference that we liked? Because I think that's interesting. This is obviously from developers' eyes, so they're saying, no, there's nothing important here, but that kind of gets me thinking that, not that we should steer them, but it would have been better if I hate to say, if we had kind of like fill this out, step them through it, because if you're just gonna leave a developer to prepare an EIS, they're just gonna do the bare minimum, so.
I don't have something specific to point to. For the future, I don't know.
You guys got to talk in the mic. I don't think anybody's going to hear you.
I was just responding that I don't have something specific to point to, but it's probably worth looking into so we could even say, like, this is what we expect. Like, we expect these sections to actually be addressed. I don't know either if that's something, depending on the zoning that the town would even get behind, but
We have the open space plan, the master plan. I mean, I think it's as good a time as any.
that's fair.
So basically, are we saying, look at this, just creating our own EIS template, kind of, and at least putting it forward, and maybe just a rough inventory of the things we'd like to see
Even classifying habitat types,
according to standard?
Yeah. not like a
We didn't see any, so.
like a technical inventory,
Right.
like a exhaustive inventory,
No.
but yeah, like just tell us at least what we're looking at, like. But yeah, maybe I think the idea is to just use other environmental impact statements to write a memo to, coming from us to the town saying that this is what we'd like to see.
So I don't know if we did an ERI on this property. I don't recall if we did or not. You don't think we did?
No, I don't recall
Okay.
either.
We could do that and send it and kind of say, like, you're saying there's nothing here, but here's what we found. I don't know if we're gonna find anything if we run that, but
But there are also other resources on the DEP. I think
Yeah.
it's called IPAC, that's map endangered species, map different species of the
yeah,
animals that we can run that and
yeah.
see if there is anything.
I think that the ERI incorporates the reporting that's found in that also, but I'd have to
Okay.
double check that. It goes out to a whole lot of other resources and
Mhm.
pulls it all into a single report. So you do get endangered species, geographic stuff, all kinds of stuff about property.
That's just pulling the existing databases together and spitting out a report.
Spits out a report, yeah.
So can we just kind of in future have that to compare?
Oh, we've done it on a lot of
Yeah.
our plots that we've looked at, yeah.
And then at least it's on the record and there can be a more informed decision.
Yeah.
As it
I
moves
think we
forward.
didn't pull it on this one because it's a,
I have
industrial
a
park
comment
already.
on the application.
okay, yeah.
My comment is on page 7, down near the bottom of the page. It says land use. And then it says the subject property is located within the Sparta Business Park. Then the next to last line says other development within this area is generally agricultural, which is a contradiction to being in a business park.
I know, it's like on the other side of that road is that farm.
Anderson Farm.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
The other side of that road?
yeah. And it's right in the middle of a residential neighborhood too. One side is residential, other side's the park, across the way is a
I
farm.
know across Park Lake Road is,
Yeah. That farm there.
but then they continue further on page 10 and say the same thing. I think it's page 7 and page 10, they say the same thing. The next to the last line in the first paragraph, other development within this area is generally agricultural, which is in a business park.
All right, so we're gonna, I think, run the ESI and ERI, sorry. And see what it says, and we can share that along with our memo. Okay.
Wasn't this, is this the Nicolak?
ERI?
This is Nicolak? or no?
I can't,
Is this
Environmental
purpose?
resource
This is
inventory.
Nicolak?
yeah, that's the
Yeah.
Ecolab.
So I was looking at that too. They're gonna have, and maybe it's not under this, but they're gonna have a impervious request, right?
Yep. they're
I think it's
asking for a
already been
variance.
approved.
No, is it?
I think it said in
They
there.
wanted less parking spaces, I think, is what I thought.
Yes.
And an increase in the,
It's like
in a waiver
60s
for
and-
impervious surface, but I think it said it was already approved in the first application.
I think so too.
Oh, well,
And I think we would approve less parking spaces.
I would
Because
have,
they were only gonna have it, it wasn't for, public to come and it's not a showroom, it's just
for contractor, for, yeah,
contractors, right.
wholesalers.
Yeah.
But what I was gonna say, I mean, this is for, one of their product lines is environmental pavers. And it thought to me, what a wasted opportunity if it's part showroom, part, you know, large scale sales to, instead of going crazy on the impervious, to have a portion of that be their pervious paver system, then they could showcase it. I think I would be happier with that, and presumably they have that material relatively cheap. So
Yeah.
that would be a recommendation from this committee that I wouldn't, I mean, I don't know, wouldn't mind saying, hey, some of this area that's paved, would you be willing to showcase your pervious pavers or environmental paver line? I think they had 4 different options. So some of them are your typical where the water infiltrates through the paver, and then some of them, there's a wide spacing in between the pavers. So,
Good point.
That's interesting. That'd be interesting for them to do.
I don't see why they wouldn't.
Makes sense.
It's
I
a
think
great
most
suggestion.
paving stone yards do that, don't they?
Yeah, they sort of
I've
have
never been to a stone yard.
My nephew.
Does he?
What, like have their product out, right?
they
Yeah,
have
and so
that,
it's,
you
I mean,
walk on it and you can see
what a great thing in our ED zone if you could just say, hey, look, you
make a
know,
beautiful
they-
display.
yeah.
Not
So-
only that, stand behind your product.
Well,
Even if people
exactly.
aren't coming, like say, hey,
Yeah.
when we use it on our
Still
own.
drive by.
Yeah,
And they could do a whole social media thing around it.
well, I mean, that's, yeah,
We should just
We-
be their
we could-
marketing commission.
yeah, well, we could at least, I think, acknowledge that if they did that.
All right, great comments. I think we are writing another memo and we'll do the ERI and include it in there. And we'll go from there. Do we have no new applications to review tonight? And opening up to public comment, but nobody from the public is here. So we will move on to reports. So you wrote none here, but we always do reports.
Sorry.
So
Optimistic.
we are going to do reports.
Kudos.
I mean, maybe our folks who give the reports have nothing, but let's see. Who would like to go first?
I got nothing.
You got-
No.
There you
I'm
go.
See?
Just kidding.
She was foreshadowing. Which organization that you cover are you covering first?
Actually,
Master Plan
I do have
Subcommittee?
nothing. Master Plan
Oh.
Subcommittee hasn't met.
Let's keep it
Okay.
going.
We haven't met. We had a planned meeting, but due to the reorg of the planning board, we have not met yet
Okay,
this year.
all right, thank you. Landon or Marjorie?
Ladies first, or I can go. So with the Trails Committee, we had met for the first time in January, and just discussion building off of the 3 trails that we're still looking at, and some more progress through Doug Dykstra, who is graciously, volunteering, and with his professional experience, it's kind of helping us out to really progress this project. So yeah, we're really excited with that. So hopefully, as the season starts to change, we'll be able to begin to present something to the town council and greater, and get this ball truly moving. In February, we're planning on doing a trail walk for the committee. In the main section that we're trying to look at is the railroad by the Route 15 area. So we'll test that out and see what it looks like, and hopefully that can give everyone kind of a visual of what this could potentially look like. And then further from that, Neil was able to stop by and let us know about some grant transfer opportunities. So we'll discuss that in new business. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
And your next meeting is this coming Monday, right?
Yes, as of right now, but we might be delaying that depending on some people's availability to Thursday. But ideally, this Monday is still on the books. And then for sure, the February 10th is another meeting.
Marjorie?
Christine had written a letter about the salt and to the planning board, to the town council and to me, except for I didn't get it. She had my wrong email address, but if we could, for the salinity of the salt she was concerned with as we were talking, and so we just needed some more facts. And there's really nothing right now that I can expound upon for the environmental, what we're working on. Except, I have a question. And I don't know if this board does anything about this, because I actually inquired about it probably 2-3 years ago. Is Byerly's Pond up on Stanhope Road, which I've always called Byerly's Pond, come to find out it's
Bizers.
Visors Pond.
Yes.
until yes, because the Byerlys lived there, so that's why I always thought it was, and I was shocked. Anyway, there is a kind of like a compound up there. There's a housing where a house burnt down maybe 10 years ago. It was rebuilt, and there is silt and dirt that I think it could be contaminated because there are vehicles that are abandoned and firewood that's being sold. And so I had contacted I came down here a couple years ago, and Country Club. Supposedly DEP got involved.
Yeah.
It flows into Lake Mohawk, and I don't know if anybody here has done any studying on that, or if you've looked into that.
I think Sabina with Lake Mohawk was on top of it somewhat. Did you talk to her in the last year? Okay.
Yeah,
And then
I
a neighbor, I believe, reported. And so I can talk to you. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know. Yep.
because I've never seen it green and full of, I mean, the algae on top is so thick you could write in it. And it's I don't know what's being, the seepage into the ground. It's got to be horrendous, because I have no idea what they're doing up there.
That's
But-
right by Pine Cone, isn't
Yes,
it?
it is
I
Pine Cone
haven't
Lane.
seen all that. Ah,
You've not
yeah.
seen that? It's
Because
12
I don't
Pine
usually
Cone.
go by that way, so. I
Oh.
haven't. But I am, like, that's one of the sites, that stream goes by my house, and I've been taking samples for the salt study there. And, but it's frozen solid right now.
It is.
Yeah.
Well, I used to skate on it when I was little. So, I mean, it's horrendous. It's awful.
Oh, no.
And it flows, like I said, into Lake Mohawk. So, yeah, but there's nobody wanted to seem to take charge of that. But I do know that the DEP has been notified. He has been cited. I don't think he's done anything about it, but there's silt in the bottom and it's very contaminated. And God knows what all those vehicles are up there. There's backhoes, there's trucks, there's trailers, they're dilapidated, I don't know if they're leaking oil, gas, God only knows what it is.
I can check the status of the DEP and on the DEP websites to see if there was anything done. And yeah, so we can start with that.
And then it sounds like zoning, or I would reach out to the town zoning and just have them check it out.
Yeah, because like I said, I know DEP is
Mhm.
very busy. So 12 Pine Cone Lane.
That's the address? Okay.
Yeah, hopefully our zoning enforcement officers can
Yeah,
be on that and take a look.
Yeah, I'll go stop in there and see.
Yep.
Okay, other than that, I don't have anything
If
to report.
Thank
if
you.
the zoning needs assistance with looking at it, since this is something that I do for a living, I can take a look. I can schedule it with whoever and go and see what is there. What would be the concern for this lot? Okay.
Okay. Don't go up there by yourself, though.
Yeah, I was gonna say, don't go
No,
water.
no, no, I'm not
Private
entering
property.
anyone's
Taking
property.
pictures,
But with someone, like, if we have the approval to go there, I can definitely,
Yeah, let's check with, see if anything's been
yeah.
done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know where I'm talking about, don't you?
Okay,
I always wondered who owned that lake.
No, it's, I was told by one of the, by a Byerly actually, that it's everybody that borders on that lake was supposed to, had a responsibility, and it's supposedly in their deed to take care of the lake.
yeah, we know how that goes.
Yeah.
Just one guy's taking care of it the wrong way.
Yeah.
Chris Dunbar's not here, but we do have a new planning board member.
Oh.
So I don't know if you have anything from the planning board to share, or you want to?
It was weird.
To say the least.
It was interesting. Yeah, what can I say? Well, I guess I'm on a subcommittee that's part of the planning board, and so I started looking into the dark sky things that we've talked about for this committee. I think there's some opportunity to cross-pollinate with just like minor site plan, lighting, signage. So that's something I'm looking into. I made some recommendations, just general recommendations, but if people are interested, I mean, I'm going off of without calling out a specific application, but just low Kelvin, low output, for signage, if we're talking about facades or signage, that I would like to recommend that we mirror the same language that we would for commercial lighting in, like, say, parking lots, which I would like to see, from this committee, and I'm starting to work on that. But so as we're doing, environmental, we're talking about, like an environmental assessment of a site, and we're talking about native plants and tree regulations or ordinances. I think it would be beneficial to have kind of a couple models for commercial lighting. So that's just again, low temperature, low output, only during the hours of operation. But then within planning, where I think we could put it to them to kind of have their lawyer take a look at that language and have some of the other committees weigh in on that. Then I would like to expand it to, again, looking at signage, because it's not, it is for the wildlife, but some of these lights, just in the last day, I've been looking at, like, Route 15 freestanding signs. If you guys are just driving around, you look, it seems like the move is just to light them from the ground surface and just shine a light 30, 45 degrees, typically a floodlight, oftentimes just on an extension cord or several solar powered floodlights, or so it's messy. But then I started looking into it a little bit more, and unsolicited started hearing that people driving that were like, oh yeah, I was blinded by this light and that light. So it's not just the wildlife, it's people in traffic driving, so it's hazardous too. So I mean, there's a lot, I think, on planning board, and I think we could craft some good stuff, some good suggestions, and put them forth to planning, and then hopefully bring them to Marjorie and the rest of town council, and make some positive differences. So I'm excited for that. But I would just say, like, the dark sky and the native plant ordinance is already kind of in the works, and the tree ordinance. So, like, I think these would be great things to get on the books, and again, build out that chapter 25. Like, we have an opportunity, I think, when we're looking at these commercial site plans, from this committee, we can just make the recommendations, but then planning can make those recommendations a little bit more binding probably. So that's all.
Thank you. All right, unfinished business. So this is the last time we're gonna talk about the open space and recreation plan because it was adopted.
Wonderful.
It was?
Thank goodness.
Yay.
So, it was adopted by the planning board, and it was a very brief discussion about it. I just read into the minutes the changes since the last time the planning board had seen it, and then it was adopted, I think unanimously. I don't think anybody was against it being adopted. So, that's your update, and I'm not gonna talk about it again.
That's great.
But we did have the representative from Newton, and so I was a little frustrated with the representative from Newton because they didn't read the open space report after the Rossi language had been removed. So that came up again. And then, I was just asking because we all kind of were read in on that there's significant problems if you have a property and you'd like to modify the use of it, it's on the Rossi. So I'd like to revisit the Rossi potentially later, or just keep learning about, the properties. What I think I found was that we learned a lot about like the open space and what we thought was open space, but there's obviously a lot more to learn about it. And then what I had asked Newton, which I thought was valid, was, there's the Morris Lake area, but then there's surrounding areas that if they needed to further develop that infrastructure, they should be probably looking at that and then letting us know, or, we should look at that. We should look at the trails. So anyway, yeah, we don't need to talk about it anymore, but I thought that was interesting that another township was, well, let me add this. I said what I said about the Morris Lake, and I thought it was interesting that the township showed up and defended their water source. But it was also interesting that this same township has a pretty significant water source that's under potential direct threat, and we don't seem to be defending it quite the same way. So I made that comment.
All right, any other questions on the open space and recreation plan?
That could go to the town council for final adoption, or planning board done, all
No.
good to go. Wonderful,
Good, it's adopted.
great news.
I do have a question about the Rossi. I understand the argument for not creating an official Rossi, but it would still be beneficial to have in case, for planning reasons, as we move forward. And just say someone comes up with just this state funding that we can't say no to, then it wouldn't be such a scary thing. We would have the document and we could
So-
make those decisions more clearly
Yeah, the Rossi
or less
is
reactionary.
basically a listing of properties that are that are open spaces that you're not going to build on. And it's already contained in the open space and recreation plan without being referred to as a Rossi.
But there
So,
are,
Then you would take basically the listing of properties from the open space and recreation plan, you pop it in another form called the Rossi, and then you ship that off to the state. So most of the work to create that is done. They just have to decide if they want to accept money or not.
But do you want to tie it into the environmental resource assessments so that?
well, there's another layer on top of that, which is all the carve-outs for utilities and the
Yeah, you have to
projected
do a
future.
little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
So from what I understood, that piece is actually pretty significant. And it would make sense to me to do that now so that we don't have to react in the future. And they can either submit it to the state or not, but if they choose to, that work has at least been completed.
I mean, I think they should take the money and build the playground and submit the
think they
Rossi,
already
but
said no.
that's my
Yeah.
opinion, and we can't, that's not up to us.
Do you
That
know,
playground-
Marjorie, from the town's council's perspective, if they're gonna proactively do anything like that?
I don't know, to be honest, but I can find out.
But that playground was the, like,
Was the reason they were going
no,
to.
but it was the what's it
It's an
called?
inclusive
Oh,
playground.
inclusive.
But can you, do you remember, I mean, the inclusive, but
Yeah.
what the materials used in that are,
Yeah.
so.
I
but
know, it was not the most
It's
environmental
it's
friendly.
essentially
Synthetic.
synthetic and it's tire, crumb rubber and stuff like that. So once I heard that, I was less enthusiastic.
But that's the design. You can,
Yeah.
you know, change the design.
Yeah.
That's
To something like what? Mulch?
Probably.
The wheelchairs won't go over mulch, that's the problem.
Oh,
So it's supposed to be fully wheelchair accessible, so that you can, and it had like a, I saw the whole presentation, had like a swing on it that you could just put the wheelchair on. So even people in wheelchairs could enjoy the playground.
Hmm.
All right, green team resolution. So in your packet, sorry, this did not get sent out beforehand, is the green team resolution. This resolution has to be passed in order for us to get our bronze certification. There's no choice about that. So we can certainly argue over the verbiage in here, and talk about that, but it does have to go to town council to, be finalized and move forward. So please do, I know I didn't get it out early, so please do go ahead and take a minute to read it, and if there's any changes, we can make them and then vote on if we're moving forward with this or not. And essentially what this also does is we are members of the green team, as well as there was two other members of the community that agreed to stay on the green team at this time.
Was there a previous proclamation?
I don't think so, because I think the last time we got the bronze certification, we didn't have to do this. But I don't know, Neil, you know more about our last certification than I do.
They, they updated the requirements for the green team. So I don't know if we had one prior to, our last recertification that didn't need to be updated. I'll have to look into that.
Yeah.
I find this interesting that it only pertains to Sustainable Jersey certification.
Right,
Is it-
yes.
Is that a requirement for the proclamation?
This
or-
is their proclamation that I just basically changed the names. I didn't put the dates in yet. Or there's X's in here for how long we've been working for.
Did they allow it to be changed?
I don't know if they would or not.
I'm wondering why it doesn't, why is it just
Pretty
about
narrow.
certification and not,
Well,
the
because
betterment
it's not our ordinance for the Environmental Commission. It's a green
Right.
team
Oh,
whose
okay.
sole
Essentially a
purpose
pledge
is to do the New Jersey sustainability work.
oh, okay.
So, it's very, what do you call it? Low risk. Like, I don't know why town councilor or Neil would not approve this. This is what we were already doing. It's just now there's a proclamation about it.
So can you find out if it can be changed before we try to change it? Or you don't even want, like, what's the
I
point
mean,
of
what do you
changing
want to
it?
change?
No, I
Is it
don't. I
something-
don't. No,
Oh,
I didn't
okay.
know if we were.
Yeah, no, if you want to change something, we can change it, and then before I sent it to town council, I would probably run it by New Jersey
Okay.
Sustainability first, and just, we want to make this change, is this gonna,
I don't see
Be a
the, I
problem.
mean, we have our own thing, so I don't see
know.
the need to change it or
Yeah.
I didn't
waste
either,
the
but,
time.
it's good, I think. All right, do I have a motion to go ahead and vote on approving this to move forward?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, good. That one's moving forward. Next item is speaker presentation schedule.
Yeah, that's the same as we discussed last time. We're gonna have Jenna Black come on our February 13th meeting to discuss the risk of lead exposure. And I did write up a quick press release that's going out into the Tap into Sparta to help get people to come to that meeting.
Awesome. Did you send it to Emily to send out?
Yes.
All right,
Yes,
thank you,
and I
Emily.
sent it out.
Oh, it already went out?
Yep.
Thank you so
I
much.
think I already saw it on Tap In.
Oh, you
Yeah.
did?
Yeah.
I'm
I saw
behind.
that too.
Oh, good.
Oh, good. Awesome. That was quick. Salt Watch Week. The next item is, I think it's, yeah, next week is the 27th? Already? Wow. Next week is officially the Salt Watch Week for 2025. This is the New Jersey edition. So every day they're having a series of speakers at 1:30. So this is the schedule. Can we also post this on the Sparta website?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I can.
Thank you. Under Environmental Commission, so that if people want to join. I think it's free, so anybody can join. And if you're available at 1:30 every day next week, you can attend.
And with that, can we just point out, if any of us or anyone in the public is participating in the SALT study, next Friday is crucial. They're doing, if you read on the announcement, but also was included in your packet that they mailed your test strips with, they want everyone who's participating to collect a study on that day. Go out to your stream and collect a sample because they're trying to get a snapshot of the entire state. So if you're participating, make sure you go out at some point on Friday, next Friday.
I'm setting an alarm right now. Thank you.
So
for
what
the
you have to do,
reminder.
you have to sign up?
Yeah,
And they'll mail you a.
yeah, they'll mail you test strips.
Okay.
And that's the website right on the bottom, NewJerseyWatershedWatch.org/saltwatch. And you just request your strips. They send them in the mail. And then it has just a little packet that tells you that you can log your data. But this is important, this snapshot, because it'll be much more of a regional perspective, looking at the entire state on one given day. So it's good to have that kind of data to do stronger analysis.
Thank you for remembering to say that.
All right.
I
Thank you.
forgot about that.
No worries.
Okay, any updates on Earth Day celebration?
Just that the Board of Ed is having their meeting today. So I should have updated info about whether we're going to be able to host it at Sparta Middle School and whether or not there would be a cost to us to do that. So I'll let all of you know.
All right, there were additional resolutions/ordinances that we talked about last time. One of them was the Sustainable Land Use Pledge. So Neil was kind enough to send out a draft, and I went ahead, that's you, sorry, that was, I think it was the model that you sent out. So I went ahead and saved it for us and added Sparta Township in there. Again, I know I didn't send this out ahead of time, my apologies. So if we want to take a minute to read through it real fast and see what we think. This is also a New Jersey, Sustainable New Jersey points, right? How many
Yes.
points do they get for this one?
10?
Yeah, I think it's
Guessing.
10 points for this. So it's also part of getting our bronze and maybe our silver certification. So again, if we could, if there's no changes, what I'd like to do tonight is take a vote on if we want it to move forward, or if there's changes, recommend any changes at this point. And the other thing about this one is it's very apropos to be talking about it right now, that since we're doing the master plan update. So it fits right into that process perfectly. Because it talks a lot about, when you're doing that process, what you'll try to do as far as regional cooperation, transportation choices, protecting natural resources, land use, et cetera.
Housing options, an interesting one.
Doesn't specifically call out water protection.
It says natural resource protection, but you're right.
It's worth adding just because that's an issue we're really facing right now.
Yeah, you're right. It doesn't add water, does it?
Otherwise, it's awesome. I'm so glad that we're going to put this forward.
Do you see a good place to add water? I'm wondering if under natural resources.
You might even add a whereas at the top.
Mm.
Water is a right.
You think human, right?
Yeah.
How about whereas, huh?
I was gonna say, yeah, whereas land use is an essential component of overall sustainability for municipality, and whereas water is considered a basic human right, and, but that's shoving it right at the top.
Is it not mentioned because you're talking about the
Land
physical
use?
land? Yeah.
That's what I'm wondering.
Topography and, yeah.
Wouldn't it come under natural resource protection?
I mean, that's I was trying to put it somewhere in there.
Yeah.
I mean, we can add it. I'm just saying maybe that's why
Yeah.
logistically it wasn't added.
Then that could be the point that you make in the whereas, like, whereas land use affects the quality of water and aquifers below surface. Whereas, well-planned land can create whatever. And then in the natural resource protection, environmental recreation, health, and agricultural value, avoiding negative impacts to these resources, including drinking water or something.
Sorry, under natural resources where?
I think it needs to say, protect natural resources of the state for environmental, health, recreational, and agricultural value. And then somewhere in the next sentence, the last sentence would be a good spot. Resource management and protection of carrying capacity analysis, water quality, land use and open space planning. I can write that all.
Yeah, go ahead and write it, because I do not see that. I'm totally not seeing where you're adding that.
Well, do you want to do pledge to complete a natural resource inventory when feasible to identify and assess the extent of our natural resources? Do you want to call out water as, kind of a specific one before linking natural resource management and protection?
Yeah, I think there should be a whereas, and then I think in the natural resource protection, it should include
Okay.
water quality. But I could send that in an email, and then we could decide if it makes
Okay.
sense.
Yeah,
Okay.
that'd be great. And then we can get it back out to everybody, and at the next meeting, approve to move it forward or not. Any other comments on the sustainable land use pledge? Okay. Another one that we talked about was a resolution in support of the Green Amendment to the New Jersey State Constitution. So what this one is, I spoke a little bit about it last time, but basically what it is Sparta Township saying that we support the Green Amendment to the New Jersey Constitution. It's not actually that we are passing the Green Amendment here. It's just saying that we support it. And so some counties, towns, municipalities in New Jersey have been doing this and then sending it to their legislators in support of it. And then hopefully those legislators are going to then pass the Green Amendment. I'm not sure this is ready to go. I did reach out to them about having a speaker come in and talk to us about it. The founder of the Green Amendment, her name is Maya
Van Rossum.
Van Rossen. I knew I was going to mess up her name. Thank you. And she can come and speak for either $350 or $500, depending on what we want to do. Or somebody else can come and speak for a less honorarium. So I wanted to bring that up, share this with everybody and see what we thought. I do think it needs some more work, but I wonder if we want to have somebody come and also talk to us about it too. So that's the update on this one. Go ahead.
I heard her speak at the library
Oh, you did?
several years ago. Yeah, she was here.
Oh, that's good. Was she good or?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
I have the first edition of her book too.
Oh, really? Nice. So I don't know if we want to consider her as she would be the fourth speaker maybe? I don't know if you have a fourth speaker lined up, or-
We have a speaker up through March.
Okay.
That's it.
All right. So thoughts on that? Does that sound like a good approach? I'll see what the budget is and go from there.
Just a note on the third page, fourth paragraph from the bottom, just whereas the township of Sparta, blah, 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 residents of, it says Essex County. So
Oh,
just,
man, I borrowed somebody.
I was like, I think I know where you got it from.
Where are you?
Third,
Page.
third page,
Yeah.
fourth paragraph from the bottom, just the county needs to be Sussex.
And first page, right before the bullet points, in that whereas statement, it should say stories describing the threat. And right now it says heat threat.
She's
All right.
Gee.
The tree ordinance. I sent it to Jim. So the process has started, so we'll see what he has to say about it. And we'll go from there.
Sorry, I have a question on the resolution.
Yeah?
Just looking at it again, because, come to the first page. Do you want to include all of your sources in the beginning? Like, for instance, toxic.
I think all of these articles need to be updated, because if you see, some of them they're quite dated at this point. I
That's
would get newer ones.
That's my concern. So
Yeah.
I would keep this part general, bullet points, including, and then just say your basic concerns and then just reference it. Okay. in the
Yep.
back.
And also, like, on the last page, I don't know what's happened with this with this bill, so that needs to get updated too.
I mean, we got some PFAS in here and
Yeah.
plastic turf stuff.
Oh, yeah, no, there's plenty of articles we
Yeah.
can reference.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm.
So, yeah,
And-
this
and-
one.
And including the American Lung Association, like, that's good, but
Yeah,
i-
this one
unless
was
we're
not
including,
ready to
okay,
be-
all right.
Yeah. I knew it wasn't ready for prime time, but I wanted to give you an example.
Good though.
Okay, sorry, I started talking about the tree ordinance. It did go to Jim, so the review process has started. Any of the other ones that we talked about before? have any more updates, like the native ones that we, any more
No.
updates on that one?
I don't have, I think my goal is to send out a revised draft with the input you guys have by like the end of next week, so you have
Okay.
time to like give specific feedback.
Do you want me just to email for some of those other ones we were floating around? We start
Yeah.
like an email chain with that subject line? Okay.
I think we can, right, Emily? We can?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, sounds good.
Before we move on to new business,
Yeah.
can I just bring up this that's in
Oh,
everyone's
yeah,
packet?
sorry.
So if you see the handwritten text, that's just my notes from our Sustainable Jersey discussion. So all the ones on top, those are actions that have expired and that we have to update. And then the new actions are those two on the bottom, and then plus the open space plan. So our Sustainable Jersey Subcommittee met today, and we don't even have to update every single one of these expired items for the February 23rd deadline, but we have our priorities. We each were assigned different actions that we're going to take ownership of, and we're going to keep updating everything into the system so that we can submit for February 23rd so that they are able to review and let us know either we're going to be bronze certified at that point or we will have to make some tweaks or changes to some of the actions, but it's at least getting us on the path forward so that we can keep working to up our points and hopefully get to silver certification eventually.
And Susie, just so I understand, the certification, whether it be bronze, silver, we are then can apply for more, we're eligible for grants, we're eligible for, okay.
Yeah.
And the higher status we have, the more grants?
Not necessarily.
Oh,
Silver's just nicer to have. I mean, if you're already doing it, you might as well say that you're doing it, right? You
Yeah.
Get the more points.
okay, good.
And I just wanted to add yeah, thanks to Christine and Barbara's hard work, we're in a much better position than we've been in the past. So we should
Yay,
have
thank
a,
you.
Great.
we should have we should be on the way to silver this year.
Although you did say it was 200 more points.
It is
to
200
finish.
more points, yeah. So it's going to be a lot of effort, but we do have a bunch of, the reason we don't have to submit all of the expired items at this point is because we have so many new points already from some of our outreach events and from the green infrastructure assessments that Rutgers completed. So we have new things to add in, so we will eventually get to the full list of the expired items. But right now, the ones, if you just want to mark down which ones we're working on now, it's going to be the green team, the emergency communications planning, environmental commission site plan review, prescription drug safety and disposal, recycling and waste reduction education and compliance, the two new items that are on the bottom, the winter best practices to reduce road salt impacts, and the lead education and outreach. And then the new one to add is the open space plan. And that one's going to be worth 10 points.
Only worth 10 points.
Yeah, unfortunately.
That's all?
Can
all
you
this
tell me-
work?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Can you tell me about the digitizing public information? Like that we had that and we lost
Had the-
it?
no. We did have that. They expire. We're going to go back to it, but we're
What
just
kind,
trying to get to the 150 right now, and we'll circle
what kind
back.
of information are we trying to? I'm just thinking,
I think it's just more that the township documents get posted online and broadcast to the public. So we will absolutely meet that. It's
I was
just,
just thinking like Rossi and
No.
encumbrances, cool, let's,
No.
not that.
All right, thanks for that update, and I will remember to put Sustainable New Jersey. All right, new business. Landon, you wanted to talk about the grant resolution?
Yeah, I did. Neil, do you maybe want to talk about what you brought to the attention of the Trails Committee, and then I'll pick off after that?
Sure. we were awarded a grant in 2023 for our green business initiative that we're trying to promote and getting businesses on board for this, but didn't have any much interest among the township businesses, so we haven't been able to use that grant. And I reached out to the grant person at Sustainable Jersey, and we can transfer that grant to another use, which in this case is the Trails Committee. So we have a $2,000 grant, but in order to, or we need to use it by February 14th, I believe was the deadline, right? And if we can spend it by then, we can still apply for the 2025 grant grant cycle. So we can apply for both large, which are $10,000 and $20,000 grants, and the small grant of $2,000. So it would be great if we could spend that and write up a new grant request.
So that after learning about that at the committee, I want to thank Christine Dunbar and Ann LaPooch for all their work that they've started doing on this and trying to go through the work, almost following off what Christine also did. So thank you for sharing some of that information. We decided that at Yonkers Landing, though, we'll be adding a trail map and some signage there just to get some infrastructure and an easier, lower hanging fruit project with the type of deadline that we have. So we're in the process of doing that. The estimates have been submitted to us, and at the minute, all we need to do is get town council approval for this grant transfer. So on February 14th in 2023, Resolution 9.5 was passed authorizing this initial grant submission. So I would just be asking everyone if you'd be interested in making a motion to recommend authorizing a grant transfer of that initial grant that was sent out in 2023.
Do I have a motion for that? Or second, sorry.
I technically can't vote, so don't put me that
Okay,
on as the most. So I need a motion and a second, then please.
okay,
I make the motion.
okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, thank you. All in favor? Aye.
Thank you all for that, and then I'll keep you very updated on the progress with that. And thank you for Jim, Jean, Corey, everyone else in the township who's really been helping behind the scenes with this project, and hopefully in the future we can bring in more grant monies for the town. And thank you, Neil, of course, for bringing this to our attention.
I was talking to Chris last week, and she said that there are two signs, something about two signs or maps possibly, but they're both, I think the cost was $600.
Yeah, they were relatively inexpensive, but then the final quote that we have now is $1,600, which gets to that point and edits some of the size of the signs and what's their location and use, and then the rest of that monies can be affiliated to internal workings and stuff like that. So hopefully everything's good, and we've already been told that it'll be able to be installed in-house.
Wonderful.
Which
So you
costs
can
money too.
you can spend all that money then.
Exactly.
It shouldn't be a problem. Good.
I do want to mention that the reason that no businesses applied to be on the green business list was not for lack of trying. We did create presentations. We did go to various business organizations in town, the Sparta Chamber, as well as a networking organization, and give the presentation. Businesses did express interest, but then didn't follow through on actually filling out the application. So I feel like we did a lot of legwork. We just couldn't get any organizations to do their piece. So we'll
So this
see.
grant transfer isn't going to completely get rid of that idea, and hopefully we can
No.
revisit that very soon as an
Yeah.
environmental commission and as the economic climate hopefully increases for everyone too, and our business owners can get more involved after COVID and everything. A lot of people have been still mulling over.
What does that entail?
Sustainable New Jersey has a green business recognition program. And so you would go on the website and fill out and then say in what way that you are being a green business, which is kind of like, oh, well, I'm not a green business. I sell cars, or I'm a bank, but there are different ways that you might still be a green business if you have changed all your light bulbs to LEDs, or if you have a recycling program. So there was a number of things that you could be doing, even though you're not like a green business necessarily,
Okay.
so.
A lot of things that
Filled it out.
companies are already doing.
A lot of things companies are already doing, you know, you want to save on your electric bill, so you change all your light bulbs to LED. In New Jersey, not Stop and Shop and not, I think it's ShopRite is a not ShopRite either. What's the other big, Wegmans, I think. Wegmans filled it out and they are a green business, so. And how they did it was, one of the main things they did was change all their lighting in their grocery stores to LED. So, saved a lot of money. And the environment all at the same time. So, all right, any other new business? All right, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Oh, sorry.
Oh, yeah, go
I
ahead.
just wanted to, if and not everybody was aware, but Neil, I saw you had looked on it, but tomorrow, if anybody's available around 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, there is a Zoom meeting, or Zoom, I should say, hearing for Diamond Chip, that the more people that are on there would be tremendous. And it's posted on Tap Into, and it's on a couple other websites, or I can send it to you if you'd like.
Okay.
But if you want to log on to see, because this is where they're suing, they're trying to get some more people off the planning board,
Okay,
and all the support that we can gather is tremendous.
all right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Just checking my meeting schedule. All right, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
All right, second, all in favor?
Second.
Thanks, Ted.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.